Some stories don't explode, they hum in the background, quiet, complex, dangerous. Iran's nuclear program is one of them. For over 2 decades, the world has watched Tehran's atomic ambitions unfold, sometimes in secret, sometimes in plain sight. And now, in 2025, we're facing a new phase. One that's not defined by centrifuge counts or dramatic announcements, but by something more subtle, and perhaps more dangerous. Let's talk about the architects. Iran's nuclear program has never been fully domestic. Behind its engineers and technicians stand international partners, both official and unofficial. And one of the most persistent and powerful among them has been Russia. Since the 1990s, Russian nuclear specialists have trained Iranian physicists in universities, in reactor facilities, even in classified institutes. Hundreds of Iranian scientists have studied in Moscow, Novosibirsk, and Tomsk, acquiring the skills needed to enrich uranium, build reactors, and, potentially, design weapons-grade systems. This wasn't an accident, it was strategy. Russia positioned itself as a mentor, a supplier, and at times, a shield, providing nuclear fuel, reactor components, and political cover at the UN Security Council. The Bushehr nuclear power plant, Iran's crown jewel of civilian nuclear energy, was built by Russian contractors. And new projects are on the table, smaller, modular reactors that offer peaceful energy, but double as technical training grounds for weaponization. Why does this matter now? Because despite alarming headlines, Iran's nuclear program is entering a strategic pause. Enrichment continues, but more slowly. Public declarations are quieter. Inspections fluctuate. The tempo is shifting. Some analysts suggest Tehran is intentionally decelerating, not abandoning its goals, but delaying them. Why? Because Iran is waiting, watching, and calculating. They're watching elections in the United States. They're watching global attention pivot to Ukraine, Gaza, Taiwan. They're watching oil prices, diplomatic openings, Russia's war fatigue, China's silence. This is a classic deterrence tactic. Remain just short of the red line. Keep the world guessing, keep leverage. But here's the catch. While the West hesitates, Russia builds. Reports indicate Rosatom engineers are still active in Iran. Research collaborations continue, often through civilian cover, but with dual-use applications. Advanced metallurgy, reactor control systems, radiation shielding. All components that matter for a weapons program. It's not about building a bomb tomorrow. It's about building the capacity to build a bomb when needed. And Tehran knows that capacity is power. So what happens if this quiet buildup continues? We could see a nuclear-ready Iran within a very short time frame, not necessarily crossing the threshold, but always one step away. That creates a new kind of instability. Israel faces existential pressure and may act unilaterally. Saudi Arabia and Turkey may accelerate their own nuclear paths. Russia could leverage the threat for geopolitical deals. Europe would confront a security crisis it is not prepared to manage. And the US? Under President Trump's leadership, America is reevaluating its global commitments. That includes how and when to engage diplomatically, economically, or militarily. The doctrine is evolving toward strength at home and strategic partnerships abroad. In that context, Iran's nuclear program is not just a regional issue. It's a test of how deterrence works in a multipolar world, a test of how rogue states cooperate under the radar, a test of whether the international community still has red lines, and if it's willing to enforce them. Let's be honest, a direct military strike on Iran's nuclear facilities would be catastrophic. It would trigger massive retaliation, economic chaos, and widespread conflict. But ignoring the slow creep of nuclear readiness is also a choice. One that invites long-term risk, erosion of norms, and the collapse of non-proliferation efforts. That's why this moment matters. We are not watching Iran build a bomb. We are watching Iran build a future, one in which the threat of the bomb becomes its most powerful weapon. And the longer the world looks away, the stronger that future becomes. This is Sam the Pomeranian. And this is the silence before the storm.